Are you alive, or are you just living? Well, San Banscano, brothers and sisters, and welcome to Mission Zero. My name is Shawn, and this is The Word with Friends, the show where we take a deep dive into language and communications and attempt to bring about a better cohesion amongst people. So what I want to talk about today is the word life. In English, life just means the period that you are in existence, from your birth to your death, but that's not real life. Okay, so I always like to start everything off with biblical examples, so let's talk about the Hebrew word for life, or at least the Hebrew words that are rendered life in the King James Bible. So there's 11 of them. 2 of them, by far and away the most common, are a word that means living flesh and a word that means a breathing creature. Both of those are based on an Aramaic word, and the Aramaic word is chaya, and chaya means to be animated. And so life in the Hebrew culture was about from birth to death, same as I talked about the English word. It's this idea of the period while you're here. So the interesting thing about that is chaya is very close to another Hebrew word, haya. And haya is what God uses in Exodus 3:14 when he tells Moses, when the elders ask who sent you, tell them I am. He didn't say I am, he said haya. And haya means to be in existence, to have presence. A friend of mine named Susan McCook made a post on Facebook that was kind of a Bible study. She said a statement that was, when we see him, we are to be like him. We're not to imitate him. And that really rung with me. That really stuck with me because it gets to the core of this difference between haya and chaya. The difference between having presence and just being alive. We are not called to be like the body of Christ or to be a body that's like Christ. We are called to be the body of Christ. We are to do what the Christ would do. Now that's a really powerful difference between just being alive and having life. So the "what would Jesus do" movement then is incredibly flawed, because what it does is ask, well, what do I think Jesus would do in this moment? And then maybe I'll go do that. But the answer to what would Jesus do 100% of the time was what the Father wants me to do. What we should really be looking at is, what does God want me to do in this moment? And the answer to that is always help the widows and the orphans and the sick and the poor and those who can't care for themselves. This is why Jesus' final statement before he ascended to heaven was, go and make disciples. We're not making disciples for the sake of making disciples. You're not making disciples so people can feel intellectually haughty and know all about the Bible stem to stern and be able to judge other people. No, disciples exist for one reason, to help other people. That's what Jesus would do. That's always what Jesus would do. Life, the word life. Yeah, sure, it can mean the period from when you're born to when you die. But that's just twisting your life. That's just filling time. And that's not what you want to do. That's not what any of us want to do. What you want to do is have meaning. The way to do that is by connecting to other people. So there's my exhortation for us this week. Look past the surface differences. Look past the political and the religious and the doctrinal and the race and the sex and all of these other criteria that maybe you use to segregate people and to make them thems. Work to make thems us's. There is no them. There is no other side. There's us. There's the diversity, the beautiful diversity of all of us. I love you, and may God pour out the blessings of heaven upon you, and may you be the youiest you. May you have the highest possible haya that you can. And I love you so, so much. Peace out.